At the moment, many of these activities are made on schools by red tape. So we will act to give teachers the power to take children beyond their comfort zone by sweeping away absurd health and safety regulation which attempt to squeeze all risk out of life. Uniting everything we do is one principle. Cut out the guff, the bureaucracy, the box ticking, and get common sense back into the classroom. And when it comes to common sense, no one knows better what's in children's interests than their parents. Our long-term plans for reform are built on trusting parents, as well as liberating professionals. Which is why a Conservative government would legislate in our first Queen's speech to give every parent the right that currently only the rich have, to take their child out of a failing school and to put them into a good one. We would follow the example of Sweden, where parents choose schools instead of schools choosing parents. As we will outline today in our social reform plan, and as you may have seen in the film that we showed earlier, Sweden has driven up standards in all of its schools by making one crucial change. Any parent can take the money that the government currently spends on their child's education and take that money to the school that they want. Parents who've been unhappy with existing local authority schools have found new schools have been set up to give them a better alternative. 900 new schools have been established by foundations, charities, cooperatives and others. And they have attracted pupils by offering better discipline and higher standards. These schools have gone out of their way to give parents what they want. Just imagine it. State schools leafleting your road, selling themselves to parents on the basis of their great teaching and the superb pastoral care that they offer. The consequence in Sweden of this reform has been not just higher standards in the new schools, but higher standards in all schools, as every school has to do its best to satisfy parents. Competition has ensured that schools which were once failing are now magnets for parents who had no hope. Conservative means have guaranteed progressive ends. And we would guarantee that our changes always help the poorest most, because we would give parents from poorer backgrounds more money to spend on their children's education. We would deliberately target the areas of greatest disadvantage to ensure that the best new schools opened where they were needed most. That is modern, compassionate conservatism. Taking on the establishment in the interests of the poorest. And we would go further in spreading both freedom and opportunity. We know from history, from our Conservative Party history, that comprehensive schools are in the best position to achieve excellence when they are freed from suffocating bureaucracy and given the chance, as Steve Maston pointed out earlier, to shape their own destiny. The success of grant-maintained schools in the 90s was proof that freedom could work in the state sector. But under Labour, many of those freedoms were abolished. Then, in his final years in power, Tony Blair became a deathbed convert to the cause of educational freedom. He set up the Academy programme, a deliberate attempt to emulate the success of GM schools. And it worked. Academies used their newfound freedom to drive up standards. But since Gordon Brown took over, those reforms have been stifled and bureaucracy has crept back. There is a real danger that the promise that academies offer could be tragically curtailed. But we won't let that happen. Not only will we restore to schools all the freedoms that they've lost, we will dramatically expand freedom for good teachers. We will give the best of our comprehensive schools the chance to free themselves from bureaucracy to enjoy full academy freedoms. We expect to double the number of academies currently planned. We will be on course for academies, self-governing schools, to become the norm in secondary education. An independent state school accessible to every community, open to all, but committed to excellence, free to pursue tougher discipline policies, free to pay good teachers more, free to innovate, experiment, and drive up standards. That is our ambition. And in return for greater freedom, we shall ask these excellent schools to use their new powers to help underperforming schools. We'll ask every new academy to team up with a school which needs extra support. The innovations pioneered in the best schools will be deployed to drive up standards in the poorest, because we are utterly determined to focus our policies on all those who are deprived of aspiration, deprived of opportunity, deprived of hope. And it's because we believe that background should not be destiny, that being born into disadvantage should not mean being deprived of a future, that we want to spread opportunity more widely. That has always been the historic mission of our party. We are at our best when we are radicals, progressives, challenging establishments, standing up for individuals against vested interests, providing hope for the voiceless and the vulnerable. And at this time, we can best achieve our progressive goal of making opportunity more equal by truly conservative means. Trusting professionals, empowering parents, and liberating the strong to help the weak. And if we trust to those values and fight for them with conviction, then we can give this country the change that it needs. We can bring educational excellence to communities which have been written off by Labour. We can bring hope to parents who've been denied a way out by Labour. We can bring opportunity to children denied hope by Labour. We can bring an end to 10 years of extravagance, arrogance, and failure.